right. So, oh, and I'm so sorry. My name is Wendy. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the director of nutrition here. We'll have some intros in a bit, but let's go ahead and just look over the agenda. Okay, so we'll be going over some meal and ordering compliance, AR best practices, then we're gonna have that Q&A section. We'll also be giving you some final reminders, and in the end, we have some additional resources linked, and that's mostly for when you get a copy of the PowerPoint so that you can easily click on those links and go directly to those websites. So let's go ahead and do some intros. So I have Caesar here first. He's starred because he is our AR master. So he's been with Better For You Meals for many, many years. And he leads up basically all of the administrative reviews. Of course, we support him as needed, but he is awesome, super organized, knows so many of the California auditors. So Caesar, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our meeting. My name is Cesar De Dios, and I've been with this company for over 12 years. I started as a consultant, and then I was hired full-time with the previous company, and then they split up, and now I came with Better For You Meals, continue to do the same job, but with more detail because the rules and regulations change overnight and every year. So I had to be up to date with all the information. So I have several contacts in the state, and we have a very good relationship with all the state auditor. I have never been penalized, thank God, for doing the audit. But at the same time, I pay attention to details. I don't send any paper unless I double, triple check to the grain of salt, literally to the grain of salt, because salt is one of the things that they check. And to make the story short, I'm in charge of all the audit documentation, and I be the liaison between the auditor and the school, because this auditor requests all the documentation for the school to send. I cannot send directly the documents because I don't have contract with the state. The school has a contract with the state. For that reason, for legal reason, we cannot send the documentation directly. But in case a document or a file is missing, or if more detail or more information is needed, I have to send it to the sponsor or the school, and they will send it to the gallery. We still communicate with them, all of the auditors, in terms of what can we do better to help this sponsor, which is the school, because it's a lot of, like I said at the beginning, it's a lot of changes every time. Now with the pandemic, they also another term of doing the audits in a different way because the pandemic, and so that's a new thing for everybody, including for them. So work with us, and then we will give you all the information and all the documentation that you need to be successful. And if something needs to be corrected, it's fine. They're gonna be helping us, and I'm gonna be helping you if you need any information, or you have any doubt. Please do not send any information to the state before I check, because sometimes you send it with the good intention, but there might be technical mistake, which is very disappointing sometimes, because it's just something that we can correct. It's not that we're not compliant. We take pride and make sure that everything is compliant, but at the same time, there's always been technical mistakes. Since we are a big company and the state manage so many schools, they take a long time to do an audit, and they check everything. So for that reason, when you have a question or you're not sure what you're gonna have to send to the state, just give us a call or send us an email, and we'll respond within 24 hours to get the information down to your desk, and then you will forward it to the auditor. If anything, I have my email, I think, in here. Did you put it in?
Yes.
My email?
Yes,
Okay.
all of our emails are linked here so that
Okay,
you
so
can
just
easily.
my email, shoot me an email and I answer within 24 hours, including weekend. Especially I know I'm ready for the weekend because when there is audit, sometimes we have to do weekend work to get it on time. Okay, so without any further ado, I let Wendy um, continue with the conversation or the training.
Thank you, Caesar. With this, we also have Monica. She's our nutrition coordinator. She also works on our server team, so you might know her that way. But she basically supports Caesar if if he needs help pulling any documents or things like that. We might include her in some emails. So I just wanted you to know who she is. Monica, if you want to just say hi really quick. That's Monica. Evelyn is not joining us on this call, but she is an important part of the team because if you have any questions about your records or if for some reason the ordering site isn't letting you pull them, she is the person that you'll reach out to. So her email is linked. It's really just our records email at Better For You Meals, but that is her direct name too. So all right, so we're gonna go ahead and just start on meal and ordering compliance. If you already watched our pre-learning recordings and you got a breakdown of the meal pattern and what components need to be offered. However, we wanted to put everything together and show you how we here at Better For You Meals meet the meal compliance for the week and for the month. And we also wanted to show you some ordering basically to-dos and not to-dos. So let's go ahead and get started. So for breakfast, as most of you are, those of you that have been in the program for a long time, you know that we have to offer 3 food groups: grains, fruit, and milk. Meat and meat alternates aren't required, though we do offer them every once in a while just because it's a nice change to the menu. And then as far as items, we have to offer 4 items. So typically our grain items will count as 2. So like our muffins, our pan dulce, our bagel, all of those things count as 2. So basically if a student gets, a bagel and a fruit, if you're offer versus serve, then that's all they need. But we do have to offer those 2 pieces of fruit daily for every student that wants it. And if you're serve only, then you need to have every student take the 2 pieces of fruit because that is a compliance piece. You have to give every single thing that is on the menu. And then as far as milk goes, if you're offer versus serve, that's not required for students to take. But if you're serve only, they do have to take that as well. But you have to have enough milk for every student that would happen to want it. And of course, on cereal days, make sure that you're having enough milk for your cereal because I have seen that some days, you may order 100 cereals, but you only have 50 milks. And so, for those other 50 students, I'm not sure how they would eat their cereal. So just, keep note of that and those little details. Okay, so here is our menu. I just wanted to briefly show you. So as you can see here, we have 2 fruits listed every single day. The only exception is our parfait day because we do have berries included in that parfait, so that counts as one of the fruit options. So we only send 1 fruit on the side. However, if you're ordering cereal that day, then you're still gonna get the 2 fruits for that meal. It's really just the parfait that would be the one, but this is just how we ensure, the fruit, it may change. We may not have the seasonal fruit that we plan to send you, and so we may send you oranges or apples instead, but the point is that we need to make sure that we have those 2 options. Okay, so this is our actual ordering site. So this is a little snippet of a school that hadn't yet placed their January orders. So as you can see here, this is for the 3rd. These are the offerings. We have a bagel, some cereal, and then our 2 fruit options. What we see sometimes is that some of this fruit is left at 0. And we'll talk about that in a second, but I just wanted to show you that before you place your month's order, the ordering site does prompt you to set up your percentages. And the reason for that is just to ensure that you're always ordering compliantly. Although this is a new ordering site, so we are noticing some little glitches where it lets you order some zeros. So I just want you guys to make sure that you're triple checking your orders every single month and just making sure that you're compliant every single time, because that's really how you're claiming your meals. So if we were to click on those percentages, it would show us screens like this. So these are basically our parameters. So for fruit, we mostly did between 5 and 100%. However, for juice, we have some non-juice schools, and we're still working on how to remove the juice option for them. But we set it at 1% just so that they don't have to order too much. And we add an additional fresh fruit for them. But just to help you all out, these fruits without a star here are always paired with one of the fruits that have a star. So that's any combination. So like, for example, applesauce and a whole fruit, that would be one day. Juice and a whole fruit, that would be another day. So that kind of helps you to set your percentages so that you can make sure that you're never ordering too little fruit, because your main fruit and your second fruit always need to total more than your meals ordered. So this is kind of an example that I put together. If you did 80% of your main fruits, and again, this is for offer versus serve only. If you're serve only, it has to be 100. You could do your whole fruits at 30%, and that equals 110%. So that means that you'll have 10% extra fruits besides those 1 pieces of fruit that are required with each breakfast. And I'll show you in a couple of slides why that matters. So for your milk, again, it shows up as 0. This is again another example. Of course, you can go lower if you have very low milk participation. You can go higher on certain days, and of course on cereal days, you'll want to make sure that you have enough milk. But we want to make sure that your total here at the bottom is never 0. So this is an example of a compliant order. So you see that we have 25 bagels and we have 28 fruits. Basically what that means is that all 25 students who get a bagel will have the 1 piece of fruit that's required for them to take. And there's 3 extra fruits for any student that may want a second piece of fruit. And that second piece of fruit, like I said, is not optional. It is a requirement of the school breakfast program. So you do have to have a little bit of an excess. It doesn't have to be, you know, another 25 fruits, but at least a little bit extra. And as you can see, they have some milk ordered, and they have the 2 types of milk as well. And this is an example of a non-compliant order. So here we can see that they have 25 meals ordered, but they only have 21 fruits. So that means that they're counting on serving 25 meals, but 4 of those meals won't have a fruit. And as we discussed previously, every meal has to have a fruit for breakfast to be compliant and for you to be able to claim it. So in this case, this is not a sufficient amount of fruit. So it would be non-compliant and something that you would just have to watch out for. So that's why setting your percentages can be really important, but also looking at the actual daily order is also really important. Are there any questions about this so far? Feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat if you do have any questions. But if not, I'm going to go ahead and just move forward, and we can always talk about it too in the Q&A. For lunch, just briefly, we have our 5 food groups, of course, our grains, our meats, our fruit, our vegetable, and our milk. So we have to offer all 5 of the food groups, and we have to offer the amounts that are necessary for each food group. So that kind of varies depending on the age group, but what matters is that you can't ever order any meals and not order vegetables or not order milk or not order fruit, because we have seen that happen sometimes. And unless you have inventory on your end, that you can track on a production record, then your meals will not be compliant. So as you can see here, most of our Better For You meals do include that half a cup of veg in the plate. So many students can go through the line and just with their tray, typically Monday through Thursday, and they'll be fine. However, you still have to offer those extra things on the side. So I just wanted to briefly show you how our menu looks for lunch. I'm sure you've seen it, but I wanted to show you this because we get questions about this a lot. So this section here are our vegetables of the day. So no matter what you order, whether it's this entree, the tuna salad, the sandwich, or the burrito, this house salad is the vegetable of the day for all of those 4 entrees. So it's really important. I know that it can feel redundant to serve a tuna salad with a house salad, but that's our house salad is the one that meets our dark green vegetables for the week. So everything that we do here in this section is intentional to meet our weekly vegetable subgroups. So you can't ever ask to remove, salads, or you can order less of them, of course, if they're not consumed, but you can't ever miss a food group entirely or a section. So the way that we menu items is intentional, and it's to help you be compliant. So anything you kind of do to like get rid of things puts you at risk for non-compliance. So as you can see here, for kinder through 8th, for fruit, students have to take, or we have to offer 1 piece of fruit or juice and 1 cup of milk. For high school, we have to offer 2 pieces of fruit and or juice and 1 cup of milk. And again, this is just offering. Unless you're serve only, then of course you have to give them each of these items. But this is kind of the difference here, that for K-8, you need just the 1 fruit, and then for high school, you need to have the 2 fruits. For veggies, so this is kind of just what I was showing in the previous slide. I don't have to go into this. You can spend more time on this when you get the PowerPoint slides, but I just wanted to show you how we like intentionally meet the meal pattern using our menu and kind of like the lengths that we go to make sure that compliance is there every time. Okay, so here are some just brief examples of some percentages. So for lunch, so this is K-8. So this is an offer versus serve percentage. So like you can see here, vegetables can be anywhere between 5 and 100%, but of course, if your students are, by now you're in a groove of things. It's, it's going to be January soon, the fruits and veggies that kids like and that they don't like. So please make sure that you're modifying these amounts to reflect what's actually being taken by your students, because we want to make sure that we're limiting waste. So this bottom one is just showing you that the high school has more items than the K-8. And that's for that reason that the K-8 just gets the 1 fruit and the high school has the 2 fruits. So we want to make sure that there are no, zeros or nothing like that is too low. With lunch, we have some flexibility because, like I said, our trays do have the veg from Monday through Thursday. So you can go ahead and, kind of modify this to be as low as you would like, above 5%, of course. And this is just vegetables. So this is a school that, these are older actually. These are snapshots from probably September, and you can see the difference between something like that to this. These are way higher because I think the school was still kind of getting their bearings, and then this is just a recent percentage picture that I took. So this is a school that, their kids may not get a lot of those extra items, so they've brought it way down. You don't have to do that unless you're having extreme waste, but I would always say just kind of incrementally decrease or increase, just so that you don't ever run out of anything. And again, the reminder that if you're serve only, all your percentages have to be set at 100. So this is an example of a compliant order. So this is also another January order from someone who was an early bird and got it in there. So you can see here that they ordered 200 cheeseburgers and we don't see any zeros here. They have their extra baby carrots because they're a high school. They have their 2 fruits and you can see that they're, the fruits are in lower amounts and especially that second fruit, it's in an especially lower amount. And they have their 2 milk types ordered. So this is a great example. In this case, it's pretty easy to see that compliance is there. So let's go ahead and look at a non-compliant order. So this is an example of someone who was able to get through our system of like blocking non-compliance. And sometimes that happens, we're working on it. But yeah, this is why we want you to triple check, because in this example, they have a 0 here. So this would be non-compliant because they only have their high school and they only have one of the fruits ordered instead of both. So just one thing to be mindful of course, when you're checking your orders, to just make sure to watch out for any zeros in this fruit and veg section, especially. Okay, so that's it as far as meal compliance and ordering. Of course, we can always answer questions later, but we want to go ahead and start talking about the main things, right? So the administrative review best practices.
Wendy, hi, it's Daphne. I just had one comment to make on the percentages. So if there's ever a time that you do go back into the system to update your percentages, there is a button called redistribute and save. And if you press that button after, so if you've already, let's say you set your percentages and you placed all your orders and now you're going back into the system and updating your percentages, you need to hit redistribute and save in order for the system to grab those new percentage numbers and distribute them among the orders.
Yeah,
so that's something to note.
That's a great comment. Yeah, and you can see it here. It's in blue. And sometimes we have gotten some feedback that sometimes it doesn't work on a specific day. So what you can do is you can always, like, let's say that you're trying to fix the percentages here or get those to refresh. You can add like a 1 here under the Apple Jacks and then delete it again and it refreshes. But again, it works most days. I think it's just been a one-off where it might not work. So let me go back. Okay. So one of the best things that Caesar and I can suggest is for you to stay organized. So what we mean by that is basically keep binders of your transportation records, of your temp logs, keep everything in one spot and make sure that you have it handy for when you do get that email from your auditor that gives you your dates. It's not a scramble to try to get all of that documentation together. Your meal applications, basically all of your documentation, just make sure that you have it in one place. The next thing is communicate any relevant info to us as soon as possible. So again, if you get an email from your auditor saying you've been selected for an audit, your week of review will be, February 2 to 5. And this is, we're reviewing the month of February. Like, all of that communication is super relevant for us because what we want is to make sure that Caesar has enough time to gather the documentation and prepare it for you so that you can upload it to CNIPS and share it with your auditor. So any information you get regarding, audit updates or paperwork, please make sure to give it to us, and then also let us know who your auditor is and any other kind of information, because we fill that in on our little spreadsheet as well, where we track audits for the year. Like Caesar mentioned earlier, do not send any menu or nutrition paperwork without approval from Better For You Meals. Caesar, sometimes menu changes. And it says it at the bottom, right? That there's a possibility that something might switch up. So we want to make sure that what we send to the auditor is the most accurate thing. So if, we had planned on sending a bagel, but the vendor shorted us because we've had really, really drastic supply chain issues this year, and we end up sending, pan dulce. Instead, we want to make sure that
Mhm.
the documentation we send them reflects the correct items and that everything matches up. So the more accurate, the less, confused auditors will be. So just leave that part to us, and we'll take care of it.
Let me jump in, Wendy. Um, just a suggestion, as Wendy explained very clearly, I have an hour now. We planned 2 months or 3 months ahead the menu, and one of the fruit that was planned was not delivered because there is no availability to get it. So the menu reflects a different fruit. Just one simple example, but they have so many through the month. So I have to check the menu. I'm doing that and make sure that what we send actually is matching the menu. So for that reason, I have to redo the menu, or not redo, but update the menu to reflect exactly what the fruit that we send that particular day reflect the menu, and I adjust it. So if you send it and then asking, you're supposed to be sending kiwi, but you're sending apple. It's not a big penalty, but they like to see things very clear. They're very methodic and when they check in. So that's what you have us here to help you and navigate these kind of technical issues. Like you say, don't send anything before we check, and it might be okay, but there might be some changes. Okay?
Thank you, Cesar. And like he also mentioned before, the auditor will be communicating directly to you. So they will go to you and they'll say, hi, we need a PFS or a CN label or a menu for this item. And so you might, if you happen to have it, it might be easy for you to send it over. However, we are your meal vendor, and we do take care of all of the nutritional aspects related to the menu. So we want you to communicate that with us instead of giving it directly to them, because we do have to be included in that conversation. But again, it'll just be between your school and us and not with the auditor, because they always communicate directly with you. Okay. Don't send more info or documents than what you're asked for. Oftentimes we see, if they ask you for transportation records, we see some schools give them the whole year. So if your audit's in January, we see, some schools give them from August to January. And the thing is, depending on the auditor, they may look at everything, because if you're very meticulous, and you receive 4 months worth of documents, then you may actually spend that time looking at it. However, we don't want to overwhelm them, and we also, that's just not what they asked for. So let's try to really just give them the information that they asked for concisely, and that just overall makes things easier and simpler for everybody. The next thing, super important, make sure that you're keeping all your documentation from your meal program for at least 3 years. So that's everything from your production records, your meal count, your applications, your verifications, basically anything that you would have used to basically for your compliance. You have to keep that for at least 3 years, because they may ask for it. Most of the times they don't, but you do have to, that is a requirement that you have. Another important one, you have to take notes of shortages or substitutions directly on your records. So again, especially this year, this is so important. We've had so many vendor issues, ranging from baby carrots to cereal to, all of the other veggies, fruits. So we need to make sure that you're doing your part on your end when you receive your deliveries, whether it's one of our servers or your direct school staff. We want to make sure that you're making those notes on the records. And if there's ever a shortage that you're unsure about, you're not sure, why you didn't receive your baby carrots, or you only received half of your baby carrots, you can always reach out to your account manager to get that information. The next thing, you have to have a digital copy of all your waiver approvals handy. So what we love to see and what schools have found really successful is just, you basically save a PDF of that waiver approval that you received through your email, and you save it somewhere on your computer. And that way, when your audit happens, you already have all those things. You don't have to be digging through your emails, trying to find, your meal pattern waiver or whatever other waiver it may be, because the CDE has a copy of that, but sometimes they'll want to see your end as well to make sure that you're keeping that documentation. So another great thing to keep in mind. So those are our best practices. Of course, we mentioned a lot more in those pre-recorded videos. So make sure that you watch those if you haven't already. We wanted to now give you all some time to ask some questions in case there's anything we haven't yet answered, or if you watch the videos and there's anything that was unclear. So yeah, feel free to unmute yourself and just kind of talk, or even if you want to share some best practices of your own. I know we have some very seasoned audit staff members here. So if you want to share some wisdom, feel free to do so at this point as well.
Hi, my name is Melanie, and I'm very, very new to this process. And we are an elementary school that's served. And I just wanted to know if there's schedule, like maybe a site visit with someone. Like, I'm very confused. We want to go to offer, but I know that entails like a lot of other things, because we're wasting a lot of food with the little ones, right? They don't want the kale salad and stuff. I'm just wondering if something offline to walk us a little bit through. I noticed that a lot of the examples were for served offers, and I know it's 100% for what we do, but I just wanted a couple of pointers and what to do so we don't waste so much food.
Yeah, so we have noticed that, serve only schools have that challenge, and sometimes for especially little kids, it can be a lot of food. So oftentimes kids are also very receptive to getting to choose which components they'd like from a meal. So that's why we really recommend offer versus serve. We think we've seen so many great benefits of it, everywhere from reducing waste to just overall student satisfaction and with the meals. But yeah, we're definitely happy to visit you and just also work with your account manager to kind of see how we can help guide you in making that change. Steve, I don't know if you wanted to add anything about switching over as well. I know you talked to a lot of schools about this.
Oh, Wendy, I'll jump in on there because Melanie is up in NorCal. Yeah, Melanie, I actually did want to come out and see. I know we had a previous conversation with this, so we got to get Tavita on board to reduce. I mean, I think the key is going to be going offer versus serve, but let's have an offline conversation and schedule some time where I can come out. I definitely can do that ASAP.
Yes, that would be great, just because we're moving through, like getting ready for the audit that's coming up in a couple of months, and we're moving through all the things pretty fast. And I think this is one of the last components, just like getting our ducks in a row about all of the quantities and percentages and stuff.
Definitely, because if we're going to move to offer versus serve, we want to make sure you guys perfect the art of offer versus serve for the audit. So we'll talk about what that might look like, and like I said, I'll reach out with some times that I have available.
And I think this is Daphne. I think there is like a misconception that it's easier to get through an audit with serve only, but we find that it's the opposite, because if for whatever reason one student forgets to put one item, or there's like a discussion where the student just refuses, I do not want to put that salad on my plate, then that meal just becomes uncompliant. As opposed to if you are offer versus serve and they just want to forgo the salad, but they take the fruit, or the meal itself already has a half a cup, then you're good. And then it just keeps going. So, I think there's been a lot of ideas that serve only is like easier, but we've always found that it's quite the opposite. So it's a great question.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, because it is so true that, like I mentioned, our Monday through Thursday meals are basically good to go. It's only, I would say Monday through Thursday, except for sandwiches, because their sandwiches typically don't have enough. And you can always check your records to see how much vegetable that sandwich may have. But really everything else, Monday through Thursday, as far as like a hot entree or an entree salad, they don't have to take anything. They don't have to take milk. They don't have to take fruit. And then it would really just be on Friday, since our entrees don't have any vegetables, they would either have to take the salad or the fruit. So we make it really easy. And of course Jonathan has this information, so he's going to be great to work with. And of course, if there's ever anything else that you still have, lingering, we can assist as well. But yeah, thank you for that question. Any other questions that have come up or that, people are still a little bit uncertain about?
Yes, I have a question. My name is Morgan.
Hey, Morgan.
I'm also brand new. I just started in September. This would be my first audit. You mentioned something about some review videos.
Yes,
Okay.
and they're linked in this presentation as well. So in case you didn't watch it, we'll go over that, and you'll be able to click on them when you get this PowerPoint.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then another question was, as far as how far back, does it just depend on the auditor themselves on how far back they want the records, or?
Yeah, they typically just ask you for 1 week. Are you having just a regular breakfast and lunch audit?
I have no idea. I haven't received any information yet.
Oh, okay, got it. You
Okay,
should be
let me,
getting that. Yeah, you should be getting that soon. Typically by January, they like to share all of that info because audits don't typically go past May. So
mhm.
Okay.
at least for the breakfast and lunch. So you should be getting that soon. But if you are serving, are you only serving breakfast and are you serving both breakfast and lunch right now?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we have a snack too.
Okay, so yeah, it might be all three. It kind of just depends on your auditor, but basically they choose a week and then they give you, and then they review a month's menu, but they only ask for, typically the more in-depth documents are for the week that they choose, and then they have a day where they'll actually do like a virtual audit, since no audits are really happening on site this year. So it's not a ton of documentation for that they ask for, they don't ask for a whole month. They're like, especially since you're new, they won't ask for like the beginning of the school year. They will ask for like other documentation, like your meal applications and verification, all of that from earlier this year. But as far as like the nutritional documents, it would just be a week or so.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other lingering questions?
Hi, Wendy, it's Melly. I
Hello.
just had a question. I know the transport records were gonna be revised because they were missing some elements. Do you know they're still working on that?
Yes, so we have had, totally fine audits throughout the years, even with them. It's not necessarily that they're, missing info, it's just that they don't have all of the columns that some other production records have, but we've gotten flexibility since it is a transportation record, production record combo. But we are still working on getting that corrected at some point this school year. It should be a pretty quick fix. I just have to send the revisions, and honestly, it's been a really busy year. So I have to figure out how we're gonna make it all fit on the sheet.
Okay, all right, thank you. Hi, Daphne.
Alrighty. We will have more time at the end if any other questions come up, but I want to make sure that we give you some of these final reminders. And some of these may answer your questions as well. So here, Morgan, is what I was talking about. You can easily click on these links when we send you the presentation. And these will be the 3 pre-recorded training modules. So these are about 30 minutes each, a little bit under 30 minutes. And of course you can watch them at your own pace. That's why we did 3 parts instead of 1 long video, so that you can kind of break it up and train as you see fit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Make sure to email your account manager and Nutrition at Better For You Meals as soon as you get any emails from your auditor, so that we can get that paperwork started and at least get your dates up on our calendar so that we can plan accordingly. Make sure to let us, again, connect with your account manager and us so that we can schedule a site visit. We would love to come view your distribution and see if there's anything that we notice as red flags or anything like that, anything that we can improve. We love supporting schools in that way. So even especially this year, since things are a little bit more flexible, if you feel comfortable with us coming out, we would love to do that. And if not, we can always do something virtual as well. You can send us some pictures or we can do a video call. So yeah, we're here to assist you. Even everyone who's, in Northern California, although we're based here in LA, we can definitely do something virtual to help you all out. And then again, an update, or make sure that you're updating your fruit, veg, and milk percentages often. So with audits, we want to make sure that you don't have a ton of waste. We want to make sure you're not running out of anything, but we also don't want you to have, so much excess waste. So just make sure that you're tracking all of your milk consumption, vegetable and fruit consumption as well. And your production records are really helpful with this kind of tracking. This is something that a lot of schools don't know, so I wanted to make sure to include it in here. You can modify your condiments and other sub items on the ordering site to avoid excess waste. So for example, if you click on this little arrow here, it's gonna show you any meal that has a sub item. So like, as you can see this Monday, all of these items had a condiment, ketchup. This Italian combo sandwich it has mayo, it has fries, it has ketchup, and then we have these veggie tenders that have ketchup as well. These default at 100 pretty much every time. So if you want to modify that, you can. Like if you notice you have a ton of ketchup and you don't need any, you can put this at 0. Or if you only need, half of the ketchup, or if you want to do only half of the fries, you can definitely modify that as well. You just have to, again, click on this little arrow to show what is paired with that entree. If it doesn't show anything, that means that we set it at 100 for a reason, like chips or cookies. We typically don't let you modify just because we want to send it at 100. The condiments, yeah, you can always modify. Should have used my arrows, but as you can see, yeah, all these things you can modify. Okay, so these are just the last resources that we have for you. I linked them here so that you can access them. These are just CDE information about the oat, helpful links, a 4-hour training that they have through the CDE that has been helpful for some schools as well. Tracking tool for you to track your training hours for your staff. Here's some options for like where you can find some of those free trainings, and then also some information on what you need to track your professional standards. Civil rights, if you have, that is a requirement for sure. So if you, for some reason haven't done that yet, make sure your team gets that civil rights training done. Your non-discrimination statement needs to be, posted at your school, so make sure to have that. We're also including a free wellness resource kit that the School Food Solutions just released. They were open to us sharing this with you all. It's for completing your triennial assessment, which is due in June. So really helpful resource there. And then if you still want more resources, there's the boot camp through Lunch Assist. That's the link there. And then that is it. So thank you so much for joining us. Of course, if you have any lingering questions, feel free to email us at nutrition@betterforyoumeals.com or stick around and talk to us a little bit after as well. We'll be here for a few more minutes. So thank you all so much. We're really grateful for you spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you.
Did you guys notice if everybody that had an audit was here?
Brilliant.